Hey, it's Maximo and welcome to Maximo's Travels. This video covers day 7 of our epic 8-day trip to the Canadian Rockies. In this video, we'll be going to Medicine Lake, visiting the tranquil and sublime Maligne Lake, then going to Pyramid Lake, closely followed by Patricia Lake, and finishing off with marveling at the deep green colour of Emerald Pond. We have close encounters with the local animals, eating the great food and beer at the Jasper Brewing Company, talking about the devastation of the recent Jasper wildfires and its impacts on residents and visitors. Join me. Our time in the Canadian Rockies has just passed so quickly. I can't believe it's already day 7. We set off at a reasonable time in the morning and head to our first destination, Medicine Lake. This is just one of 4 lakes that we'll see on this day's touring. It includes Maligne Lake, Pyramid Lake, Patricia Lake, and Emerald Pond. It's our fantastic penultimate day in the Canadian Rockies. A lot of time, effort and planning was spent in making this a perfect trip. If you're interested in following my itinerary, I have produced a 1-page PDF of my itinerary that's available for free download from my Buy Me a Coffee storefront. Click on the QR code on the screen or use the link in the description. I've also created a paid 11-page detailed ultimate itinerary for the Canadian Rockies. It's an 8-day self-drive trip that includes tips and tricks, how to get there, accommodation, distances, maps. It's a fantastic guide that will save you time and effort in planning your perfect Canadian Rocky itinerary. We set off on our last day and it doesn't take long to see our first lot of animals. Mule deer, just by the side of the road. We were going to be fortunate and see many more animals on this day. We had another jam-packed day ahead of us. Our first destination was Medicine Lake. This is around about half an hour and 28 kilometres away from Jasper on the Maligne Lake Road. It wasn't too long before we got our best sighting of a mother bear and her cub.
Oh, so cute.
I think that was our closest and most exciting animal encounter. The bears were only a couple of meters away from the car. I was a bit worried because I had an open window, but they didn't seem to pay us much attention. I've certainly got bears well and truly ticked off the animal to-do list. We continued on the Maligne Lake Road through spectacular scenery. It was truly a pleasure and a privilege spending time in the Canadian Rockies. This trip will take a long time to fade from my memory. After 2 more sightings of wildlife, we were approaching Medicine Lake. It's quite interesting because as we got nearer to the lake, we noticed that there was a lot of burnt trees in the area. Apparently this is from a huge wildfire that struck the area in 2015. It sort of bodes well for the Jasper fires of 2024 because it looks like it'll take more than a decade for the natural environment to start to recover. After all that animal spotting excitement, we arrived at Medicine Lake. It's not really a lake, it's really the Maligne River that loses water into underground passages. It's known as a losing stream. During different parts of the year, the lake dries up. As the winter recedes and there's a lot of glacial melt, the lake fills up with water, as if by magic. That's why the local indigenous people called it Medicine Lake. It was almost black magic or medicine on how the lake would rise and fall in the seasons. The car park and outlook offers spectacular views of the nearby mountain range. It's unfortunate that the river level was quite low and there was a strong, bitingly cold wind that I wasn't able to get the mountains reflected in the water. We were thankful to get back in the car and get warm again. We continued on towards Maligne Lake. The scenery was truly breathtaking. Medicine Lake is around about 7 kilometres long, and the road snakes its way alongst the lake. Both Joe and I were in awe of the sublime majesty of the landscape. It's like everywhere we looked, everywhere we drove, everywhere we stopped was just truly amazing. And just the sheer scale of the hundreds and hundreds of kilometres of it was amazing. It was reasonably slow going, as the speed limit on the road, for the most part, is 60 kilometres an hour. In some places it drops down to 40 kilometres an hour. But eventually we did find the car park, and now the battle to find a car spot. Car park is full. It's 10:30 a.m. We did get the last spot. Pays to come a bit earlier, I think. Maligne Lake is the largest lake in the Canadian Rockies. It measures around 22 kilometres long. Its average depth is around about 35 metres. The lake is open from June until mid-October. The reason it closes is to protect the caribou herd that has its breeding grounds here over the winter. And that's the famous Maligne Lake boathouse. It's interesting because only non-motorised boats and canoes are allowed on the lake. Even the cruise boats that sail the lake are electrically operated. We opted not to go for a cruise because of the cost. $82 per person for just over an hour cruise seemed a bit expensive for us. If you want to take this cruise when you're visiting, I strongly suggest you book well in advance. I'll leave a link in the description. The lake provides for absolutely stunning views of the mountains that ring it. The scenery was just so beautiful, serene, peaceful. We did decide to walk the 850 odd metre path to the picnic area and red chairs with its spectacular lookout. Oh, fancy meeting you here, Joe. We decided to have lunch. The Waffle House didn't really have any options for gluten-free food, so we tried the Lake House. The Lake House did have a few gluten-free options, but the food was, well, reasonably forgettable. It was a cafeteria-style affair. I decided to have some chili con carne, and I've got to say the food was rather bland and tasteless. Joe got a rather average poutine, But what we did get was magnificently spectacular views of the lake. We both had coffees and they were so bad I don't think either of us had finished them either. And as an added bonus, we had a little squirrel put on a show for us. After lunch, we continued a little walk around the lake. The wind had died down a bit and the scenery got even more majestic. We didn't regret taking the cruise to Spirit Island. We're just thankful that we got to walk to the picnic area and just took in the sublime beauty and tranquility that is Maligne Lake. We hopped back into the car and travel along fantastically and stupendous mountain scenery to our next destination. This is Pyramid Lake. This is about a 1 hour drive and 53 kilometers away from the Maligne Lake that we were at. We got to go through the magnificent drive past Medicine Lake once again, and the scenery was just utterly breathtaking once again. We continued driving until we reached Pyramid Lake, and more specifically Pyramid Beach. This is on one side of the lake that provides spectacular views of the surrounding hillsides and mountains. And it was actually a beach, hence the name, I guess, Pyramid Beach. But I didn't expect there to be a nice sandy beach, perfect for swimming, this high up in the mountains. And if I was to come here again, I'd definitely drive the extra kilometre or so to Pyramid Island, in the middle of the lake, offering even more spectacular views of the surrounding sites. We left Pyramid Lake and continued driving to our next destination, Patricia Lake. The lookout is just off the main road, and the car park is quite small and be quite easy to drive by. The Patricia Lake lookout is less than a kilometre from Pyramid Lake. We got out of the car and followed a narrow wooded pathway all the way to the shore of the lake. And of the two lakes, I thought the views from Patricia Lake and the colour of the water were much more favourable than Pyramid Lake. Anyway, we set off again for our final destination for the day. This is to be Emerald Pond. Emerald Pond is around 29 kilometres and about half an hour away from Pyramid Lake and Patricia Lake. In order to get to it from Pyramid Lake, you need to go back into Jasper and out again north towards Emerald Pond. So this little car park is the car park to the Emerald Pond. We drove right by it expecting there'd be a bigger car park. Don't make our mistake. And this is a pathway cold sulphur spring. There's this big rock. If you've seen this big rock, you've driven past it. This is Sulphur Spring. The path to the pond is right close to the very busy highway. It did feel slightly precarious walking down here, but the view was well and truly worth it. And just like that, that was our last attraction in the Canadian Rockies, done and dusted. We started driving back to Jasper and got our last big surprise of the trip. We saw a couple of more huge mule deer just crossing the road, minding their own business. Truly marvellous beast, and it's great being able to get so close to them. We entered Jasper, and because we hadn't had a good look around, decided to spend a couple of hours just walking around the town of Jasper. The town of Jasper is the commercial centre of Jasper National Park. Its population is just under 5,000 people and sits at 1,060 metres or 3,480 feet above sea level. It's a charming rustic mountain township in the heart of the Canadian Rockies. The Canadian Rocky Mountaineer train also passes through Jasper on its way from Vancouver to Banff. There's even a very nice black locomotive in the front of the train station. Jasper features nice tree-lined streets with heaps of cafes and tourist shops amongst its streets. One of the things that Joe regrets is not getting one of those beaver tail pastries. Oh well, maybe we'll make it happen next time we visit. As I've mentioned previously in this and other videos, a wildfire tore through Jasper in July 2024. Unfortunately, a third of the town and a fair bit of the commercial buildings were destroyed in the wildfire. It was such a beautiful, pretty town. My hearts and prayers go out to the residents and business owners of Jasper. This is the Jasper Brewing Company. When we visited about 3 or so weeks before the fire struck, and these are some of the videos and images I've been able to get off the internet about the aftermath and damage caused by the fire. And I'd encourage all people to support the residents and community by visiting Jasper when the town reopens to visitors, perhaps in the spring of 2025.
Later that night,
we decided to spend our last night with dinner at the Jasper Brewing Company. Joe and I decided to share a beer paddle between us. These are basically 6 different beers, all brewed by the Jasper Brewing Company and brought out to you on a wooden paddle. You get a chance to taste 6 different beers. All were very, very nice. I think the IPA was my favourite.
Okay, so we've got the sampler.
Right.
6 4-ounces.
Right.
And 1 to 6. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, and that's
So this
everything
is
there.
Rock Hopper, Jasper, their ale. Crisp pills. That must be the stout. That can't be right.
No, it's
That
out
is
of
the
order.
stout.
Yeah. Crisp pills. All right.
Well, we've got no. Maybe it goes here then. 1 tangerine dream. If this is fruity, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, maybe. All right, let's try them. All right, what's that one, Joe?
It's a Rock Hopper IPM.
Rock Hopper IPA. Cheers. Quite sweet, isn't it?
Fruity.
Fruity.
Let's try the next one.
All right. So that was the other one was the tangerine dream that we had. We
Sure?
Yeah, because it was sort of fruity. This is the Jasper Trail IPA.
Honestly, they're all messed up.
Yeah.
All we know for sure is the one with the lime and
Yeah.
the stout.
Yeah. I think they're all messed up. I don't know what that is. Do you want to have a try of that?
This one?
Yeah. I'm trying.
Pretty just sort of straight down the line. No particular strong taste like the others.
Yeah, that might. Maybe that's the IPA. It's quite nice. Now for the stout.
Yeah.
That's very identifiable, isn't it?
It's very dark.
Yeah, it is. It's quite a caramelly colour. You don't like that one? It's quite bitter, isn't it?
I don't really like that.
You don't like that? It's sort of coffee and bitter. So the other one that we can identify is the Jasper the Bear Ale with the lime. Alright. Let's give this a go. So this is honey and coriander.
Yeah, that's all.
I can smell the coriander.
Yeah. Is that good or bad?
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice. Bad, isn't it? Or maybe it's the lime I'm smelling. Yeah.
Can't taste the coriander.
Alright. What's the last one?
Let's see what this one is.
Yeah.
Golden.
Maybe it's the
pale.
Maybe it's the rock hopper. It's American style IPA. An IPA. All very nice.
I think I like the first three more than the last.
The last three? Perhaps. Oh well, our food will come soon, so this will keep us entertained for a little bit, won't it? This place had excellent food, excellent service, and a really fantastic vibe. It's such a pity that it was smoke damage, currently closed and won't reopen until spring 2025. A porchetta sandwich, gluten-free bun, and you have a pesto with
Rigatoni and
garlic bread. Yeah.
It's got some pumpkin and feta and seeds.
Pumpkin, feta and seeds.
Yeah, and capsicum.
Well, enjoy. What's it like? Good. The beer was great and the food was even better. I really liked that meal for our last night in Jasper. What a marvellous day's touring it's been. First we went to Maligne Lake, then Maligne Lake, Pyramid Lake, Patricia Lake, Emerald Pond. What a brilliant day touring. We've had such a fantastic time in the Canadian Rockies. I hope you've liked this video. If so, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you want to be notified of all my future videos, hit that notify bell. If you'd like to support my channel, please consider buying me a coffee. Until our next and last video from the Canadian Rockies, you take care and bye now.